like Molten, we've seen champions like Slash and even Athena do really good because it's just the ability to just dash around the map. And if they've got a lead, it's kind of hard to spawn and maintain any kind of control because the weapons are kind of spread out as well. That perhaps Base's objective is going to be to try and get an early lead and just bully the entire time, because that's, you know, it's all about movement, right?
Yeah.
Base's movement is almost like Razy standard when you compare the clutches together, which is, you know, great to see in this side of the pond anyway. Before we go into map number 1 though, I'm going to give you a chance to give a prediction. How do you think this is going to go? I know the expert prediction was predicting k1llsen pretty much all the way, but what about you?
I'm going to say k1llsen 2-1, winning over Base.
I feel like it could be a 3-0 for k1llsen purely because of form. It's one of those matchups that if it's 2-1 to k1llsen, I mean, by all accounts, I think k1llsen is going to win this. But if it becomes a 3-0, it won't surprise me. If it's a 2-1, it'll be a pleasant surprise to see Base get some points. But still, I really think I just favour k1llsen in this situation.
Yeah.
I think he's just looking way too good right now.
I mean, I also agree, obviously. I think k1llsen will be the one to win this. He's yet to lose to anyone other than Vangur. But I really do think that it's definitely possible that Base will end up taking a map here. If he can make that clutch work on Molten Falls in particular and just take k1llsen by surprise, he could totally walk away with at least one map win.
Yeah, I think that's the thing I'm kind of eyeing up the most, is that if I think a map win's going to come from Base, it's probably going to come from the clutch pick.
Yeah.
Because it's not conventional, and in a one-map setting, if you're trying to get that sort of final bonus map, as it were, then maybe something a little bit unorthodox is how you accomplish it. But we have 2 maps to get through before we even reach that point. It's going to be Blood Covenant, k1llsen, and Base.
Yeah.
We'll see how things start off here.
Very slow to pick up the major items. Took around 10 seconds before the heavy was even taken. Base trying to favor doing damage over getting himself stacked, but misses the rail shot. And look at that, again setting up with a perfect angle, but it's still k1llsen who lands the shots.
First
Base.
rail. Oh, come on! It's insane to see how k1llsen, and this is the first map he's played, this is the first 30 seconds of that map, yet he still managed to just look so on point with weapons at the rail. Like, this looks like he's already well warmed up.
Yeah. And now k1llsen is making his way over to that mega health. It looks like it's just going to be another split in the items. Base, the Russian player, taking the heavy armor. k1llsen getting the mega health. And so far, k1llsen definitely the one dishing out most of the damage, and he's hungry for more. He's got most of the map under his control. He should have a pretty good idea of where Base is at. Yep, looking the right way, but just not spotting him.
Goes for another one of those speedy flicks. Not going to hit its mark just yet. Base hitting a pretty good angle there, but definitely looks more like he's the one on the defensive. There's an even split in between Heavy and Mega though, and yeah, Base wasting no time trying to re-establish, and he's already in and out. I feel like at the beginning, k1llsen might have even been potentially trying to actually create a divide in between Mega and Heavy, but even while he's, you know, wasting a little bit of extra time, there was a trade-off all the same because of just when Base reached it.
Yep. And I wonder what k1llsen is planning to do right now, if he's just content with just taking Mega over and over, or if he's going to try and switch things up a little bit and immediately go for Heavy. And looks like that's exactly what he's going to do, jumping across with the Plasma Trail to position himself onto Heavy. And look at that, he's faking it out, pretending like he's going away, and there we go, landing 1 rail, 2 rails. Is he gonna jump for it? Oh, the Ghost Walk, just in the nick of time. And Base manages to escape, but that's not good at all. k1llsen again cementing his full control of the map.
You realize that was the perfect opportunity to say just in the nicks of time when you didn't say it.
I missed it.
Dun 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 dun. That was sick though. That was a really good moment, but the fact that Base was actually able to survive that was impressive in itself. You know, k1llsen did use it to bully some control, granted, but... And, that missed shot's unfortunate there.
That's...
He's going to chase now, he has no reason not to.
k1llsen, oh, the rail from below, getting right back up, and the Ghost Walk is still not up for another 10 seconds. This could turn deadly for Base so quickly, but he lands an excellent rail, the LG. The Ghost Jump? No, not a really thing, but he does manage to get away just in time.
k1llsen running out of rails. I feel like he was looking for that initial rail into LG, that if he just had 1 extra rail, perhaps that fight would have been in his favor, but one temporary miscalculation. Fortunately though, didn't cost him his life. It's still going to be 0-0. I don't know how either of these guys are getting away with this so far. Like, they're surviving with such a tiny amount of stack.
And it's double unlikely because they're both playing light champions. Typically, you see people survive these close encounters when they've got a good amount of stack to their name. But both of these, they're small, light, squishy champions that are very likely to die when just a rocket or two hit their face. And still, 3.5 minutes in. Many close calls, but both yet to drop a frag.
This for me is just coming down to they're hitting some really important shots to disengage each time it's happening. You know, fundamentally, like k1llsen, when he needs to hit a shot to get away where base just can't push for that split second, he's hitting it, and vice versa for base. But right now, still yet to see a single frag. It feels like so much has happened, yet no frags have hit the board just yet.
Yeah, of course, both players are using a champion that has a lot of escapability, and once they do get that one frag lead, they can very easily outmaneuver their opponent and just stay clear of them to run down the clock. So both of these players are very much aware of that. They're careful, as if every fight could be their last, and they don't want to expose themselves too much. k1llsen picking up the Mega just in time, and look at that, base is actually pushing in.
But because
Can he
k1llsen was
find the
caught
shot?
jump plasma trail, even though he had that out, stuck in the air, that's going to be an easy rail for base to land. You know, just follow the trajectory, right? But k1llsen still alive. Plenty of pickups down there.
And for one of the first times this map, I feel like we're actually starting to see base maybe get himself into control, especially when he's going to be hitting rails like that. One more will finish k1llsen off, but he gets himself a little bit of health to work with and to cling onto his life a little longer.
Now that one's going to miss, so k1llsen has some room to breathe. He's going to get the trap sprung, but thankfully base, with the Ghost Walk, well aware of the risk taking there, but springs the trap himself. Can the airborne rail, but it's not enough to kill! That could have been a delicious combo, but base had just barely enough HP.
Yep.
5 minutes, and again, so much is happening! There's the rail! Insane shot there from k1llsen. I cannot believe he hit it.
Yeah, everything went just right. The read was perfect, the positioning excellent, and then of course the reaction time to land that shot so beautiful. Base in a lot of problems, doesn't have his Ghost Walk. Nice little pummel though. I mean, that's 75 damage to the face, very quick and clean.
Saving grace, you know, base got caught in the jump pad, but thanks to the Nyx Ghost Walk, was at least able to kind of stop the guaranteed rail and forced him to jump down. But again, too predictable with the wall jump. k1llsen ready from the backside, and that's another frag. Easy 3-0 here. It was close, but it looks like we're on the verge of it not being very close at all anymore.
k1llsen definitely living up to his name, or his older nickname, k1llsen, but missing a few too many shots right there, whereas of course base using the heavy machine gun strings together a lot of consistent damage, and k1llsen off the spawn tries to get himself the LG and will fall instantly. Base will secure himself heavy, it looks like. Oh, unless another rail takes him down. He didn't take it.
I actually really like the awareness there from k1llsen.
Yeah.
However, he's taken a lot of damage. There is going to be Mega and plenty of small pickups on the way, so he is going to stop that bleeding. But base, will happily take that free frag that occurred on the staircase. But he has to make something happen with it now. k1llsen looking to still stick around. I think he fancies his chances to get something that resembles a comeback. Pushing away. Base is... I mean, you can't count him out for sure.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm a bit worried about is he hasn't got a railgun yet.
I think k1llsen noticed the Ghost Walk right there. He saw what was about to happen and spotted the usage of the invisibility just when base came out of the teleporter, and he just decided to back away. And Nyx is a champion who's very dependent on her ability because she can get caught out and deleted so quickly that she really needs to have that failsafe at the ready. And right now base knows that he's in a bit more of a vulnerable position, and k1llsen is probably going to try and hunt him down.
But k1llsen, the mobility of Slash, and the fact that he's maintaining a fair amount of control here, especially around the Mega. That 3 minutes on the clock, it's a very big lead, but he can sit on that lead if he wants to.
Yeah.
And that Ghost Walk, it's good for surviving. It's good for getting out of jail for free in that respect. But if you are behind, using it aggressively to try and spring a trap for a frag, I mean, that's dangerous but possible. And there's that information. He's using it to maybe try and hit a free rail, but the Ghost Walk's been used. Minimal damage to return, and k1llsen is just in and out.
Yeah, that worked so well for the German player right there. I think he's kind of picked the wrong weapon. The railgun would have done so much more, but the LG, of course, k1llsen getting out instantly. And look at that rocket! Fortunately for base, the rail combo doesn't quite connect. But base, I feel like, is he going to overcommit right here? Nope. Actually, k1llsen doesn't manage to do a single point of damage with the heavy machine gun, but he's got the stack advantage. Base has got to be so careful right now.
Yeah, and that rail has other plans, that's for sure. And now it's wasted time. That 2 minute mark is here. Playing no games. A little bit of a fumble on that double jump.
Yeah.
He tried to kind of hit towards rocket location there, but he's still alive. And I think there's a lot of respect being shown. Base knows that with less than 2 minutes, he can't really give up any more frags. The moment he hit that shot and saw k1llsen around the corner, he didn't even hesitate to press that ability key.
And that's something I think we can commend base for, because we often see players who hang on to that Ghost Hawk just a little bit too long, and they end up either dying or just taking so much damage that it doesn't work out for them in the next fight at all. But base has been extremely quick to press that button and to use his escape as soon as things go south.
Very
Good
aggressive
rocket.
play there from k1llsen, but some delicious rockets are going to be met there by base. And he's been able to take away the Mega. How can k1llsen get away though, right? He's on a base stack at the moment.
Yep.
No pun intended, I guess. But as we're now going into the 1 minute warning, all this time it takes to get the heavy and re-establish, it's time that he's losing, right? Just taking this heavy took just short of 10 seconds in a 1 minute warning. Like, he has to calculate whether it's going to be worth it.
And look, in the end, if you look at the stacks, he really doesn't have that big of an advantage over k1llsen at this point, especially after taking that rail and his own rocket jump. Things are starting to look so dire for base. k1llsen keeps putting out the damage, and that probably will have sealed the deal right there. k1llsen stealing Mega and landing the shot that base could not. And is he going to extend his lead even further? Surely that Ghost Walk won't amount to much. And k1llsen, 20 seconds left on the clock, looking stellar.
Yep, and at this point, this is more of a victory lap, I think. And at this point, base needs to just think about, what we're going to do onto the next map. It's going to be... it should be, Ruins of Sarnath. Yep, up next. Sorry, I had to consult my notes.
Yep.
That terrible memory thing I was talking about. But yeah, this is going to be a pretty good win there for k1llsen. First half, there's that last minute. Cha-ching, baby! But yeah, fundamentally, you have to look at what happened. And not a lot of time to dwell on it, as we're now going into map number 2. But it was really close for most of it, but k1llsen just started hitting those shots. He got the momentum going. Granted, that second frag that base got was kind of like a free frag off the spawn. So, the first frag was where the work came in. The second one was more opportunistic. But
yeah. k1llsen just landed the shots at the right times. If you looked at the scoreboard at the very end, you could see that overall k1llsen did do a bit more damage, but ultimately it wasn't all that much, and the same went for item control. So that means that k1llsen, in order to win this, he just managed to push the hardest when it really mattered the most. And look at that. It's amazing that we already got 4 or 5 highlights without a single frag. It's still 0-0 on the top of the screen, but there we go. That first frag ultimately going to carry him all the way into the win of map 1.
Would have been quite a nice little turnaround if you got that pummel on landing and then swapping to shotgun or something similar. But yeah, these kind of frags that base, it's almost one of those things that can happen where it's so close for so long, and then you get one frag and it's like, oh, okay, that's not, I'm going to worry about it. And that split second you try to double jump and it seems like something you're not really worried about. k1llsen's ready for the angle. Some of those frags seemed pretty free. It just caught base off guard. You got that one frag on base and then picked another one in less than a minute. It's I guess that's just the seesaw effect of sometimes it's close and sometimes it's not. Yeah,
that's basically how it goes. Map 1 ends up going to k1llsen. I mean, in the end, the score limit was a little bit higher towards the end, but overall it was an extremely close game up until the end when k1llsen just kind of ran away with the scoreline and base was unable to still catch up. But base, I mean, k1llsen definitely looking a bit better, but base is not out for the count just yet. 2 more maps to go, as you said. Next up will be Ruins of Sarnath, so plenty more to come and plenty more opportunities for base to mount a comeback.
The rail side of things, though, definitely favoured k1llsen, and we're going from one rail-heavy map straight into another. So when we're thinking about what kind of chances both players will have, the rail making as much of a difference as it did, I'm going to favour k1llsen on this map too. I guess that kind of goes back into our prediction where we kind of felt like if base was going to take a map, it probably lies in Molten Falls and that slightly interesting clutch pick. But for the same reasons, Blood Run was in k1llsen's favour. Is he going to simply, repeat history on this next map? I guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, and also, even when it comes to Molten, Clutch is a pretty damn huge target. Even if he has the speed to work with, he's still enormous, and he's a magnet for rail. So if k1llsen can keep this up, even that enormous stack and that damage-reducing shield that his opponent can rely on might not save him in the end. So even if it comes down to that, I feel like k1llsen's rail has been so strong that it's already not looking that good for base on that final map.
I suppose that's why it's one of the reasons k1llsen is kind of put on such a pedestal in that respect, because it's rare that you'll kind of find him when his rail is off.
Yeah.
He has this immaculate combat skill to begin with, but you can almost always guarantee that his rail is going to be in top form as well. And if your rail is a weapon that's always like, you know, at its highest level, that's very scary to play against on a map like Blood Covenant. Now we're obviously going into Ruins as well. That's something that you have to just think about is, right, if I go around a corner and he hits an angle on me, you have to show a lot of respect to that. And Base was respecting it quite heavily. And the couple of times he didn't respect it, he just ate 3 rails and died.
Yeah, I mean, k1llsen, of course, back in the past was given the appropriate nickname k1llsen, and he's definitely been living up to that. And when we asked him about that in the past during an interview, he essentially just said, you aim for your opponent and you go pew, pew, pew. Line up the crosshair and click on the head. It's so easy, he says. But then he also talked a little bit more about, you know, you got to find the right angles and the right setups. And I think that is one of the reasons why k1llsen, his rail is so good, because you saw it in the highlights. k1llsen, that very first frag, setting up near heavy and then looking straight down into LG and catching just a pixel of his opponent's feet, and he lands the shot to get the frag. So that's extremely important, and k1llsen has mastered that art. Yeah,
but I think we'll go through. I'm actually going to go flip over my page and sort of just double check about the champions that we can see. So we saw the Nyx and the Slash, now Sorlag and Ranger. That is going to be quite interesting though, because if rail is something that Base didn't quite have as much of an edge on, there is going to be the automatic champion size difference where, look, it's just easier to hit rails on big champions, and Sorlag is no exception. But then the Ranger pick, there is going to be that element of burst up close, and Base, he's very, very aggressive up close. You know, when those fights break out, and I think that's why Ranger fits him so well, and Clutch for the same respect. But we'll see if it's going to be enough to turn the tide here and turn this into a 1-1, or if k1llsen's taking this a minimum 2-0.
Yeah, and also a whole lot of mobility that Base will gain with that orb. There's so many nice angles you can use the orb on to just cover so much distance and get maybe from heavy all the way up to the top to mega very quickly. So Base can definitely take advantage of that. At this point, k1llsen's still lacking the rockets. Base doesn't seem like he's putting up much of an effort to deny the weapon. He's just going to give it up for free. But heavy will be the first item coming up, since Base did delay mega quite substantially. k1llsen landing that first rail, that's going to give him a nice opening to secure the first item to spawn again. Yeah, forcing Base to retreat near light armor, where there's only a few pickups, and it takes you quite a fair while to reach that point. Easy fight there for k1llsen, making that a 1-0, and actually getting the spawn trap as well. Oh, Base trying so hard. That always felt like how he sat still purposefully to try and not give his position away, and k1llsen still managed to hit that 100 damage prediction. It's just obnoxiously efficient. Yeah, and that all really came from one rail that k1llsen hit. When k1llsen was on top of T and his opponent Base was downstairs near rail, k1llsen landed that one shot, and that forced Base to retreat, allowed him to drop down on heavy and just start snowballing and chaining together these frags. He's gonna find Base immediately again, and a third rail for a third frag. We're not even a minute and 30 seconds into this map, and k1llsen already so dominant. I mean, this is why k1llsen's the QuakeCon champ. It's just this level of just excellence. You very rarely catch him having a bad game. You rarely catch him having a bad day of accuracy. It's just every time he plays, he just seems to be top level, and I can imagine it's very stressful to play against. Yeah, and just rails like that. You know, he's using the acid spit to retreat. Now's my time to go in. On the way out, that little rude flick that just hits its target, and now playing the aggressive game is a lot more risky than you initially thought it was. Yeah, absolutely. But despite hitting that last rail, it's actually still Base who has the stack advantage at this point and who can run around the map freely. k1llsen is still starving for some more health and armor, and he's gonna find that on the other side of the map, Base might have a pretty good idea of where he's looking to restack, but is unable to apply any pressure right away. And now k1llsen looking to go through the teleporter, but waiting for some more information first. Now k1llsen's in a position where, you know, he's back to bonus rail territory, right? He acknowledges that Base has the stack advantage against him. However, he also knew that Base didn't really have much of a information over where he was. So this is a perfect opportunity to try and hit those angles, get a rail in, and just undo the damage. Yep. And k1llsen now actually playing a very defensive game. He knows that he's massively outstacked. He knows that Base is looking really sharp right now, and that he's not yet at that basic 100-125 stack that he wants to. But this might change things around. k1llsen doing quite a lot of damage with Toxic, with the Spit, and Base is just gonna wait it out. He knows there's no bubble around, but here we go. Base, can he pressure this some more? very interesting move from k1llsen, kind of trying to juke him out by going straight at him, but Base is still just sitting around waiting and gets the perfect read. Can he get the spawn frag? At least he does some damage, and look at that. That should be another frag. Base chaining some frags together.
k1llsen had absolutely nothing to defend himself with there, and it was just good awareness there from Base. The Mega, and he beat him off, and actually a little bit risky trying to push. I fear that Base was a little bit too aggressive, and now he's forced on the back foot. This is just going to give k1llsen opportunities to, well, I was going to say, trying to re-equip and get some weaponry, but he was looking to go in for the kill, and he was 2 HP short of achieving it.
Yeah, the saving grace for Base was just that k1llsen did not have access to either heavy machine gun or the railgun in that situation, because otherwise he would have been dead for sure. But right now we're seeing an immediate reversal of the roles. Base the one who's forced to play passively, and k1llsen who can roam the map freely.
Always unfortunate when that momentum shift happens while you're kind of in the middle of taking the lead, but don't manage to quite get it just yet.
Yeah.
You know, k1llsen, all the same, he's sitting on a 1 frag lead here, and now he has the control. Now he has all the stack, and he has all the weapons too. That was the only thing that prevented Base from dying previously, was that k1llsen only had the starting machine gun.
I really hope Base realizes how low he is on lightning gun ammo, because he's walked past LG like twice without picking up extra cells. And I hope he knows that he's only got 14 to work with, because if it comes to an LG fight, that could spell doom for him.
And now he's forced to retreat. Mega collected. But no armor is going to be worrisome, and that's why he's retreating. But k1llsen knows you're going to run for armor, aren't you?
Yeah, pretty risky play from k1llsen too. Look at how little stack he has to work with. Base might be aware of this and might look for a refrag. But it looks like he will be playing it a little bit safe from the get-go and just collect himself some armor to begin with.
k1llsen's going to be content, retreating and going by the not-so-common parts of the map to get the regular stack back up. Another rail, unreturned by Base, and that really is the common story, that Base does hit some rails, but it's not as often when it needs to hit. You know, k1llsen is constantly hitting rails all the time, and there are certain positions where Base kind of needs to trade it to have a fighting chance of surviving in a fight or what's going to come next. And it's going to come down through. The overextension there with an orb is going to work out, but what a risk! Oh no, the armor doesn't stop the bleeding because it's not
Of course it doesn't.
Oh no, that's unfortunate.
Oh yeah, and that might have been a really good opportunity for Base to tie things up again, but look at that, still 2 frags of a deficit. Base will be able to pick himself up. The Mega as k1llsen is racing around the map with that monster stack of a heavy champion. Base, he's got 4 minutes left to work with, plenty of time to make up 2 frags, but he's got to break this chokehold that k1llsen has him in right now.
I feel like that moment was more of a, you pick up a health bubble when it just soothes the burning pain, and you pick up armor, it's like, no, this hard plate just scratches and makes it worse. I'm dead.
Next fight will be for the Mega Health. k1llsen deploying that spit preemptively. Base is just gonna orb right onto it, but of course he will still be hit with the Toxic, but it won't be enough to kill him. And k1llsen missing the rare rail. That's not something we're used to saying, but it did just happen. We have it recorded actually. And k1llsen, Heavy will be going his way, and that's another 30 seconds that Base has essentially burned off the clock.
But that's kind of what we were talking about at the start, which is the moment k1llsen misses a rail like that, it's a big deal. It's something that surprises you because you're not used to seeing it. And that's why he's so scary to go up against, clearly, that, you know, if you have to bet that he's going to hit that angle, then, you know, you bet he will. And he's got a lead still, 2 frags. But now, 3 minutes on the clock. Base, no stack advantage, and seems like he's really struggling to maintain any presence on the map, because the moment he shows his face, k1llsen just rails him. It's probably going to happen again.
Yeah, are we going to see it? Yep, there we go. Trade.
Just ask and you shall receive.
Yeah.
That defensive rocket giving him information. If he had a rail out there, I guarantee he would have hit the shot. And Base trying so hard to strong arm himself into the Mega and still sticking around looking for all things rail related, and k1llsen actually railable himself.
Yeah, this could still go wrong for the German. Base has got the lower stack, but he's looking for the angle. Nope, he does. He went for heavy instead. If he had stuck around, I think he could have made a frag happen pretty easily right there, because that's not that difficult of a shot to hit. And here we go, another confrontation at Mega, as we've seen so many. But k1llsen is just going to retreat right away. He knows I'm 2 frags in the lead. There's 2 minutes left. I don't have to force any bad fights that I don't want to. I can just run away, keep my distance, and take the confrontations that I am comfortable with.
Here we go. Unreturned rails. And Base going in for the kill easily.
Yeah.
Picking that one up. Now if he just gets, his reward's going to be the heavy. This is the perfect scenario to make the comeback happen. Direct, and then
the orb!
Oh, that was absolutely beautiful stuff.
Gorgeous, yeah. Perfect play from base, 5-5, and he's got Mega. He's got the timing on the heavy. He can establish a really solid rotation right now. And he's looking for k1llsen, because of course, I don't think base, after what just happened, wants this to go into overtime. He wants to shut this down before that clock hits the 10-minute mark.
He's got loads of control too. But how's k1llsen going to take this one back? The fight towards Mega. This is where disaster struck for k1llsen last time, and he isn't going to have a dire orb at the very least for the fight at Mega. But if he's hitting his shots, will he need it? Forced away temporarily. The restack is coming back from k1llsen. Even though base has done a miraculous job evening the odds, that is still all he's done. He hasn't got a lead yet. We're going to go into sudden death at this rate.
Yeah. I think base will be at least somewhat happy with how that turned out, but here we go, the L. No! What?
Risky play, but actually I think it's going to pay off.
Oh!
Oh my god, what a shot from base! And the absolute stones on this man.
I think one machine gun bullet would have done it, but base says, no, I'm gonna finish this in style, and he takes the rail to the Sorlag, and now 30 seconds left to go. k1llsen is going to get hit again, and that's going to make it so difficult for him to make anything happen. With the last 20 seconds he's got to work with, here we go! LG versus LG. Base doesn't really want to stick around because he knows it can still go wrong for him.
Misses the rail, but actually both players missing the rail, so it's not going to be the end of the world, but it's going to allow base to escape, and now k1llsen's got to find him. He's only got 10 seconds to make it happen. This could be a 1-1, and what a frag to make the difference. Yeah, he's out. Oh, I love it. I love that play. I absolutely love that play. Dire orb just in case he's up top, and he catches you on the jump pad, teleport towards LG, and that would have been a done deal. The moment he threw that orb, there was no way he was losing that match.
Oh, yeah. Very well done. Very closely related in damage and armor pickups, although there is a significant advantage right there for base with the health and armor that went to his name. But look at that. I don't think either of us were expecting this. It's already 1-1. k1llsen has dropped a map, and it's not the fabled Molten Falls against the Clutch. Base looking excellent in fighting shape, even though, look at that. We saw 3 frags, I think, in under a minute and 30 seconds.
It was a disastrous start, and that's, I think, in turn, one of the impressive factors is that base was able to bring it back and maintain that level of excellence too. Like, right at the last second, I'm positive we got it captured, but that frag at the end, it really did make all the difference, and k1llsen, the Sorlag was a worthy attempt, I think, but the thing is, there were certain moments where k1llsen actually started to miss some really, really crucial shots.
Yeah.
And that in turn meant that base had an easier time landing his shots thanks to the giant, hitbox of Sorlag in general. And then the Ranger Dire Orb. Like this was a perfect demonstration of, I think, the champion matchup in turn that base just played Ranger phenomenally well. And this was such a sick moment. This was such a good moment. And he was able to catch him before he did, and thanks to the giant hitbox of Sorlag, k1llsen had no hope of getting away at the end there either.
Yeah, that was absolutely beautiful. I do have to say, though, I really liked how k1llsen used the Sorlag this map, because I think he got a pretty tremendous amount of poison damage over time. There were several times where base was essentially like, well, I can't do anything except just wait it out, and just you hear the 10 damage every single tick, and of course it gives your position away as well. So I think k1llsen made excellent use of that toxic ability, but in the end, base was the winner.
100%, and that's going to be a 1-1 too, which, this is not something that the two of us expect at this point.
No.
But we are going into the final map, which could, by all accounts, actually favour base, because he's going in, it's Molten Falls, base has selected Clutch, which, again, it's not a champion that you see every day selected on this map, and base, he's made magic things happen with this champion before. He's one of the premier Clutch users. Clutch, in turn, is a champion that not everyone, I think, really has the means or ability to sort of, like, really maximise at competitive level, because you need to be phenomenal with his movement, because if you don't have optimal Clutch movement, especially in a competitive level of play where Clutch is by all accounts like the largest champion in the game when it comes to how easily you can hit him with rails and stuff like that, if you don't have good movement, you get stuck on walls,
Yeah.
you go slower than you should. It's only until you've really mastered it that you can even think about using him at this level of play.
And the movement is definitely not as easy as it looks, because I consider myself pretty competent with pretty much all of the champions, but Clutch, his movement, it just never really clicked with me, and you keep hitting or running into the walls, hitting the corners, so it's really impressive to see these top-level players play the robot to his full extent of his capabilities. And here we go, this is it, the final deciding map. k1llsen on the Doomslayer versus base on that Clutch.
I'm going to consider the fact that it's 1-1 here. I'm still going to consider that an upset. I really did think that k1llsen kind of had this one in the bag. And this was the map that, you know, people are sort of... This one's a bit of a question mark. But I guess, you know, the start of the map might dictate how this one goes. Clutch may be giant, but if he's caught behind and he's, you know, a big boy, it might be a bit hard for him to get back into the swing of things if k1llsen's maintaining momentum. That said, if k1llsen's the one that gives up an early lead, then who knows what will happen.
Yep. And at this point, both players just still sticking around their respective first items. k1llsen over at the heavy, base over at mega. And we're seeing exactly what base did at the beginning of last map again, delaying that first item on the second rotation. So he's waiting for mega, trying to throw off his opponent. Oh, k1llsen's actually gonna see that, and he probably knows exactly where base is. Yeah, base maybe have overstayed his welcome a little bit, manages to dodge out of the room just in time, but he will give up the rockets.
But that delay has come into full effect. Heavy's about to spawn, and
Yep.
k1llsen has the better position. Forced away, jumping down though. Here comes that shield wall. And that's going to be a free pickup. k1llsen not out of dodge yet. However, the walls run out. Is he going to be able to land his shots? At this point, does it even matter if base pushes forward, but disengage on both parties?
Yeah. And that's exactly what we were talking about. Base delays his own item just so that he throws his opponent off, and that there's quite a substantial delay between Heavy that's first and then Mega that's second. And he knows this, so that if he can manifest himself on Heavy, he can immediately make his way back over to Mega and start a nice little rotation to control both of them perfectly. And that's exactly what's happening. He's taking Heavy again, and look at that. k1llsen has almost no armor to work with, and Base is trying to figure out where his opponent is, trying to get a good read, because he knows that k1llsen is starving for a small armor.
And at the same time, this fight towards Heavy is going to be very scary if you're k1llsen, because, you know, shield wall doesn't stop Clutch from shooting.
Oh no.
So if he has this massive stack advantage and Heavy's about to spawn and you're both there, someone would think that maybe k1llsen was in a position to jump down and take that. Even I thought so too. But then the moment you realise that the shield wall's in play, Base quite literally just ran in and just pushed k1llsen away from it.
Yeah.
And then did damage at the same time. Like, it's... What would k1llsen do to stop Base from just swinging in and taking the Heavy whenever he wants if he's stacked up?
Absolutely, and that's a very important part of playing against Clutch. Out comes the shield wall again, but the rockets are phenomenal. k1llsen, however, down to just 3 points of health. A little bit of damage would do it. But Base rather misses the rail and does get back out. But going back to the Clutch topic, one of the things that you always see these high-level players do is that they just try to bait out the shield, get away, and then they know that they've got quite a bit of downtime in which they can chase him down. Base just manages to escape, 25 points of health. He's got to run for his life right now, but k1llsen gets the read, and look at that.
And not only was that a perfect read, but the shotgun being equipped was just like even more of an example that he had the perfect read on him. I know you're going to be coming through this corridor, and I know that by the time I come round there with a shotgun, we're going to be close range. Like, that was read like an absolute book. And actually, one important detail that we haven't even talked about, k1llsen does not like fighting Clutch.
Yeah.
Like, he's not a fan of Clutch.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's known to ban the champion out quite regularly.
I remember sitting in a van last year at Luca next to k1llsen. We were talking about that, and he was talking about how much he disliked the robot.
Yeah. I remember that conversation well.
So k1llsen obviously not a fan of Clutch whatsoever, so I think that it will be a big mental victory. But oh wow, he can't even get back around the corner before Base rails him twice.
But now Base, caught off the rhythm where he hasn't got a shield wall, and he's constantly fighting from behind. This is actually the side of Clutch that's a little bit tricky. That, look, he's able to move around, that's fine. You know, getting weapons and getting stacked back up, that's alright. But it's the fact that he's so big that if k1llsen just catches him on a good spawn, there's not really a whole lot you can do, because your LG is going to do more damage because you're unlikely to miss as much of the shots, and you know, rails are rails against him.
things are starting to slow down a little bit. Base is trying to find a trap, I think, just hiding close to the teleporter exit.
Before he even had an angle, by the way, he stuck his arm around the corner. This is kind of what we're talking about by Clutch being a bit too big for his own good sometimes.
Yeah, k1llsen just landed that first shot instantly. Base gotta go back to pick up the small armor, man. And k1llsen looking extremely good right now, but just look at the stack that Base can really have with his clutch at this point. Even if k1llsen manages to stack up nicely, all it takes is for Base to steal 1 armor or 1 mega. He doesn't need 2 to really be competitively viable once again. So he's looking for an opening, looking for some damage, and then to get onto an item.
Shield wall is activated, but at this stack it might be a little bit too easy to force out. If k1llsen catches him in a good situation, I wonder if Base is even going to pop the shield wall to try and survive. But he knows it's a done deal. Using the shield wall to push away for the mega. Unfortunately, took a little bit longer than he's comfortable with to hit that jump pad. So there is some bonus damage that k1llsen was able to distribute. And now 5-minute warning halfway through here. Base. He's been trying to hit a trap as often as possible, but I think k1llsen's wise to it. He must just know that, yeah, and there's another rocket.
Yeah.
Base has to be aware if k1llsen's situation, like k1llsen's like, if Base is trying to get a comeback, surely a trap is the #1 thing he's going to get. So k1llsen's being extra careful.
And it's serving him well, and look at that, 1 rail, 2 rails. Base, he's gonna drop on it! He does get out though with a perfectly timed dodge at the very end, and that's always risky, dodging against LG because you're off the ground for a little bit. That LG knockback can just push you all over and even out of the map if the angle is right. So risky play from Base, but it was of course necessary to get out of that one alive.
Yeah, you have to make plays like that, I suppose, when you're this far down. You know, over half the map is done, and Base is -4 kills. Hasn't actually got one himself yet. He's heard k1llsen's footsteps. Oh, that preemptive rocket, though, didn't quite get the read, and that's going to give him information now. Free to just run in, steal the mega away. k1llsen maintaining this Goliath lead that he's currently sitting on with stack.
And even if Base manages to steal 1 or both of the items and even get a frag, it's going to be very difficult for him to even make a comeback happen because k1llsen has that mobility. He's got the berserk, and the double jump can be so useful on this map as well. You can very easily jump from the plasma all the way up to the shotgun over that heavy spawn right there. And there's quite a few other jumps that you can do when you're k1llsen right now. And that's going to make it very difficult for Base to catch him out. Base will jump onto the mega. Look at the stack that the robot has. But that rail is going to take it down a notch.
He's going around the corner again. Shield wall's going to be popped, and although he hasn't really accomplished much, once more k1llsen's going to be aware that shield wall is now gone.
Yep.
And now if I land a fight, then wow, that's LG and Rail City. Speaking of which, one of those vertical rails just to stop some of that heavy from being as pivotal as it could be. And now with that mega inbound Base, he's going to push in with everything he has, but he's just too chunky.
k1llsen is playing the anti-clutch game to perfection. He's really holding down the right positions and just kind of listening and looking out for that robot. And then when Base comes in, oh, can we see our first Berserk punch kill of the day?
Uh-oh.
Yup.
Oh. Mining laser versus Berserker punch. I mean, that's a very Doom way to take out a robot.
Absolutely. But yeah, k1llsen is just perfectly positioning himself where he knows that he can get a good angle at Base if he decides to come for him, and then he can do so much damage with LG or with Railgun, and Base just has absolutely no answer to it whatsoever. And I think that the creative gamble, as we kind of called it earlier, to go with Clutch on this map, I mean, it might be unconventional, sure, but I don't think it's really paying off the way that he was hoping.
I feel like this is also quite, I suppose, an inspiring map, and what I mean by that is it's no mystery that k1llsen does not like fighting this champion. But that doesn't mean that he just makes sure never to fight the champion and just ban it and stuff like that. Clearly, he goes into maps with anti-clutch strategies, and he knows how to handle this matchup, even against someone like Base. Look, he's making Base's clutch look pretty easy right now. Yeah. We have literally seen in Quake Pro League that his clutch is historically scary to deal with. Like, he has one of the best clutches in the world, yet k1llsen, even though he hates fighting the champion, still has this rock-solid game plan. And this is what a champion does, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And right now we're seeing Base finally get himself a frag on the board, but it's not going to amount to much because all it was a trade, and he is unable to really establish control immediately afterwards. And even if he would, there's just over a minute left on the clock, so this is essentially a done deal. Base needs nothing short of a miracle to bring this one back.
He's going to chase it. I mean, he has to go all in at this stage.
Oh.
It was already sealed before, but it's definitely sealed now. k1llsen leading the charge, and although base had a phenomenal map number 2, Molten Falls is not going to end the same way. This, by all accounts, should be a 2-1. The fact that it's a 2-1, I mean, that was the expected result from us, but maybe in terms of individual maps, not so much. But I mean, k1llsen, you know, he's maintaining his presence as just having a damn good record here in the QPL. Looking still like Venger's the only one that can take it.
Oh, yeah. And that's going to be interesting to see on the map coming up after this one, which will feature Wenger. We're going to see if he'll be able to hang on to that first spot. But still, this match isn't quite over just yet, although 15 seconds left on the clock. There is nothing that base can do. k1llsen just having a little bit of a victory lap right now. He knows he has once again overcome whatever adversary is in front of him, and he's looking good.
I mean, k1llsen's just maintaining an air of dominance, but the rivalry between k1llsen and Wenger will continue in that regard as well. And I mean, it's great to see it. It's absolutely great to see it in the QPL. And there's just so many players out there that just seem to. The storylines are never ending, aren't they? You know, well played to base. He was able to make it a 2-1 all the same. So, you know, he was able to get a map which is, if anything, he's not in a really, really awful situation so far. One map is better than a 3-0, especially seeing as k1llsen's already up there. At this stage, he can just keep winning. It's fine. If you're against k1llsen, any map you can get against someone who's like number 1 or number 2 or top 3, whatever it might be, any map you can get is better than nothing. Yeah,
of course, but still, k1llsen is naturally going to hope to get those 3 zeros, because if you look at the global leaderboards, he's in 2nd place, and the only one that's just a little bit ahead of him is the infamous Rafa. So if k1llsen wants to contest Rafa for the first spot in the Quake Pro League, he really wants those 3 zeros to get himself those 8 points per week.